Good morning. Happy Thursday. Good morning. Hi, cubies and newbies. I am Sunshine. This is the ABCube method for solving Rubik's Cubes. Thank you for joining me. Uh, this is the simplest solution for solving every complexity Rubik's Cubes. You have 4 patterns you have to memorize. I have to learn. Formula A is 4 moves, 1 row, 1 column. Formula B is 8 moves, 1 row, 2 columns. When I say rows and columns, I mean you hold the cube in your hand and look at the front of the cube as if it is a spreadsheet with rows and columns, and the arrow represents the single slice you're going to move, and the line represents everything else. So you're only ever moving 1 slice at a time. And like I said, 4 moves, 8 moves. 4 moves brings a piece to the top face, top layer, top face, and B moves 3 pieces around, and that's all you ever need to do to solve every complexity cube. And every complexity minx. Dodecahedron, I think that's what that's called. It also works on the works on the pyramids as well. So who is there anybody here who's watching me? Hey, Duncan Dropsnot, how are you doing? I appreciate you being here. All right, go back to chat room. Okay, so I have a new setup. Hopefully everything's working well. It looks like my microphone is microphoning. Okay, yesterday I've been breaking this down into steps. And so regardless of what cube you have, every cube has 8 corners. And so we can do the corners first on all of the cubes, so that says they can all be solved the exact same way. So we do the corners first, and then this one is solved. And the rest of them, we've established what color each face is going to be, because once the corners are correct to each other, we've established what colors we're going to be working with. So I did that. I did the corners, and then in working with the corners, I do them 4 at a time. So I do the yellow corners, and then I do the white corners, or vice versa. You can be color neutral, but all of my cubes have a yellow, and not all of them have a white. So yellow is the color that I choose because it's more standard. So I do the yellow corners, and then I bring the color to the top, and then I move them around as needed, bring the color back to the top. Then I flip it over, I do the white corners, same thing, color to the top, rearrange as needed, and then color to the top again. And since I've been training my eyes, this is not a speed solve method, this is not a fewest moves method, this is for, gee, I wish I could do it, but I don't have the bandwidth to learn a complicated thing. This is it. So I've been training the eyes to look for yellow and white, so you keep looking for yellow and white when we move to the larger cubes. And so Formula B, when Formula B is done for the top row and the outside columns, the corners is what it moves. When B is done with the top row and an outside column and an inside column, the edge pieces are what it moves. So with holding yellow and white left and right, I find yellow or white pieces in the middle area, regardless of how big the cube is. I just find pieces that are not on the outside layers, and then I move them to the sides. So the first thing I do with edges, I do opposite edges. So then, for the opposite edges are done on all of these cubes. The next step that I would do would be I did not finish the opposite edges on this one, because here's a yellow piece. Yellow and red are left and right here because that's what's opposite. And this piece wants to go over here. So Formula B, you pick a piece that wants to move, line up the corners to match the front, determine its direction, and then Formula B, the top row, and then the first column's where it's going to land, second column's where it begins, and start by moving away from the action. So slide up, slide down, slide down. Sorry for not finishing that yesterday. If I recall correctly, someone came to my door and I had to end the session prematurely. So yellow and white opposite edges are done. Actually, not quite. I still have one more, don't I? Okay. Opposite edge color in the center. Bring the corners to match the front. Determine its direction. Away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. Okay, and when there's no more of your opposite edge colors in the middle, you check to see, and either they're correct or some of them are misplaced. If they're misplaced, you just throw a random piece into that spot, again using Formula B, and that moves the misplaced piece out to the middle where you can then place it correctly. So corners are done, opposite edges are done. The next thing to do then would be, will we line up the absolute center as we can. If we haven't done it up until this point, it's easily done. Formula A, middle row, middle column, will move the absolute centers around. Okay, and then to displace it, so it would just, this piece wants to go here. So I move it out of the way, move the space down, move the piece into the space, and the piece in space back up again. Okay, so we've got the opposite edges centers lined up. We'll make sure, we'll just slide the centers into place for the side edges before we start, which we can do for the, okay, so here's another one. Yellow wants to be on top. This row, this column, out, down, in, up, and line up the absolute center because you can. You can't do that on the void cube. You can't do that on even number cubes. Can't do that on odd number cubes for the middle centers because you don't know. The absolute center is one piece internally, and so it cannot be moved incorrectly. You can always tell if it's placed correctly or not. The other slices, you can't tell if they're placed correctly or not until you get to where the stage where either a parity shows up or it doesn't. If a parity shows up, the center's a quarter turn off, rotate that center a quarter turn, parity's gone. Or you can go look for parity algorithms and memorize them and play with them all you want. But in my opinion, it's easier to work the outside in, so when a parity shows up, single quarter turn, and you continue, and you don't have to worry about the parity algorithm, which I'm told to add 10 seconds to your score. So, in my opinion, that's worth doing the centers last instead of doing the centers first. The reductions method actually increases your probability of having a parity, and I have yet to find anybody who likes parities, which is why I tell all of my newbies that they're a lie and you don't have to play with them. So corners are done, opposite edges are done. Next thing to do is the side edges. So I'm going to put one of my opposite edges is going to go face down, and since I like yellow more than I like white, white goes face down. We're going to work with yellow again because there's no white on this cube, so red goes face down. We work with this one. So we've already established that Formula B moves Formula B for edges moves a piece from the top front to the side front. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to find an edge piece that's incorrect. I'm going to, where's my marker? I don't know where my marker is. I get another one. This, I don't know what it's called, but it's what we used to put posters on the wall back in the 60s and 70s, so you have holes in the wall from the thumbtacks. So you can still buy it at the grocery store. I don't know what it's called. Just go to the stationery part of the store. But I use this just so that your eyes can follow what my eyes are following. So this is the piece that's incorrect. I'm going to move it. Stick it on the cube. Oh, come on. stick it there. Okay, so I'm going to use Formula B to displace this out into the middle. Hey, school bus, how you doing? Nice to see you. I am not set up for Zoom yet. This is a new setup. And so I'm just not there yet. Corners match the front. It's going in this direction. School bus loves to Zoom with me. And while he's got Formula A all the way down, I have been having him practice Formula B whenever I use Formula B, just so he can get the hand motions down. Corners match the front. It's going in the red direction. Slide up, slide up, slide down, slide down. However, I'm going to try to be able to do that tomorrow. I I have the habit. I'm set up to handle to be able to incorporate Zoom into this stream, which means that I can then see your cube and help walk you through what needs to happen on your cube, and I can teach in real time up to 4 people at once. So we've corners, opposite edges, side edges, which includes the absolute center, and this one is done. So these are both done. And for the rest of them, we're going to set the absolute center, the side edges, and if there's going to be a parity, this is where it will show up. So I take a piece, yellow and white are left and right, because the cage part of the yellow and the edges, corners and edges of the yellow and white are done. So now we're going to put the white face down, and we're going to displace side edges that are incorrect. Okay, these ones, oh, look at that, they're paired up. We can keep them that way. Sometimes it's advantageous to keep things that are lined up together, but sometimes it's not. And so you have to be willing to separate them if you need to. So we've displaced our yellows down into the side area, and that puts pieces that are not the white color, the top color, on the top. Set it up, please. I hear you, school bus. And I am not as familiar with OBS that I'm using now as I was with the Twitch Studio, and so it's not as convenient for me to do that. My my son is going to come and help me again to set it up, and so I'll be set for the weekend. But I'm not going to stumble around and try to figure it out on my own. At least not while I'm streaming. So, but you can continue asking me questions and making comments. So, white's face down, yellow's on top. Find a piece on top that's not yellow, and line it up to this. Line it up. Hold the cube, the top row, and rotate the entirety of the cube till the corners match the front. Okay, it's going in the orange direction, so it's going to go over here. So first column is this one where it's going to land. Second column is this one where it is now. So slide up, slide up, slide down, slide down. There we go. Find a piece on top that's not yellow. These are not together, so we're going to treat them one at a time. Okay. Hold the top. Bring the corners to match the front. Determine its direction. Up, up, down, down. And regardless of what cube you have, the step is the same. The muscle memory, once you've got the pattern down into muscle memory, it doesn't matter which direction you're moving it, or it doesn't matter which pieces you're moving. So like I said, top row outside columns moves corners, top row outside inside column moves edges. Line it up, going in this direction. First column's where it's going to land, second column is where it begins. Away up, in, up, away down, in, down. And the white edges there are there to keep me on track of which columns I'm using when I start moving into bigger columns where it can get confusing, bigger pieces. The larger cubes, using this method, the larger cubes are not more difficult than the smaller cubes. and are all in fact done the exact same way. So if you can solve one cube, you can solve every cube, which is not how the rest of the world does it with their reductionist methods and other things. So this is why when I'm teaching, I'm usually teaching non-cubers. But this does help. This will help. If you want another way to do it, this is one. And also, if you are, well, I don't speed cube much. This can be used. Many of my students have gone on to speed cube, and what the advantage that this method does is that if you can apply the algorithms to a solved cube, it's easier to see what's moving and how. So this will always allow you to reset your cube to the solved state so that you can practice the algorithms that you're working with on the solved state so you can see what you're doing. Okay, so now the yellows have bounced back and forth. I'm looking for a piece on top that's not yellow for as long as there's a piece on top that's not yellow. When the yellow comes back to the top, either correctly or incorrectly, it doesn't matter. When the yellow comes back to the top layer, then I reassess. And either my edges will now be happy, or some of them will and some of them won't. And if there's one that's not, then I'm going to displace it. So these ones are correct. These ones are correct, this one's not. So find a piece that's not correct and throw it in the direction you want it to be. So I'm going to displace this incorrect piece with a yellow, which will displace the yellow, and move the not yellow piece to the top so I can then work with it. And I will just place it and whatever it displaces until the yellow comes back to the top. In the meantime, this other yellow is going to bop back and forth between where it wants to be. So when the yellow comes back to the top, we haven't lost this yellow. Now what this means is that if there's a parity, it's going to show up in this line, in this layer slice. And if there's not a parity, it doesn't show up anywhere. So using this method, I'm forcing the parity to show up on the same slice rather than parallel or other ways. The parity can show up a lot of different ways. And so I'm controlling how it shows up so it's easier to solve. So here's a piece that's not yellow. Bring the corners to match the front. It's going in this direction. Up, up, down, down. Okay. Yellow came back to the top, so we reassess. These are correct. These are correct. These are correct. These are correct. So this one has a parity. Yay for us, because I have a parity pre-lined up over here in case I didn't get one. So this one has a parity. Sometimes you'll get a parity, probably about a third of the time. Most of the time you won't, unless you're doing reductionist method, then it's more like half the time. So I'm going to save this parity until I've got my side edges done for these pieces, and then we'll do the parities all at once to show you how to do that. So yellow and white are left and right. I put the white on top now, yellow on top now, so my opposite yellow goes face down, and I'm checking the sides. This is not correct, so I'm going to displace a yellow. If I could see what my my absolute center was, I'd line it up first, but I can't see it, so it doesn't matter. So I'm going to displace the yellow over here. One. First time chat. Someone who wants me to pay for viewers. That's not going to happen. Goodbye. I don't need you. Okay, so corners on. Here's the piece I'm going to place next. Can you guys hear the lawnmower outside? Because I don't have any control over that. I know when I'll talk louder. If it's a bother, I can just end the stream and come back later. Somebody tell me. Okay, so corners match the front. It's going in the orange direction. Away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. Okay, piece on top that's not yellow. Line up the corners to match the front. It's going in the blue direction. up, up, down, down. Okay, yellow came back to the top, so I set the corners. This one's correct, this one's correct, this one's correct, this one's correct. This one does not have a parity, which means my absolute center is correct. Actually, if this absolute center is an even number of turns off from correct, which includes 0 or 2 or 4, etc. If it's an even number off, you can solve it. If it's an odd number off, you have a parity. So this one is correct now. These 3 are all done. We'll put them in the back there. This one has a parity, so let's work with this one. White goes face down, yellow's on top. Look at the sides. One of them is incorrect. Let's move it out by displacing a yellow into that spot. Slide up, slide up, slide down, slide down. Okay, and then again, this yellow is going to pop back and forth as I work with the pieces that are not yellow until yellow comes back to the top. So corners match the front. It's going in the orange direction. These two are paired up, but if I honor that, then it's going to change the rest of my stuff. So I'm going to split this apart. You have to be willing to split pieces apart when it's not convenient to keep them together. Because treating them as one piece is more likely to give you either a parity or a false parity. Corners match the front, going in this direction. Slide up, slide up, slide down, slide down. Okay. Look for a piece on top that's not the top color. Okay, corners match the front. It's going in the blue direction. And my yellow is going to come back to the top again. So when the yellow comes back to the top, set your corners and check your sides to see how they're doing. This one's correct, this one's not, so it's time to displace this one and keep going. Okay, so formula B, one of these is whatever lands in this spot. Slide up, slide up, slide down, and look for the piece on top that's not the top color. This is the piece I'm going to move. I'm ignoring everything on top. I'm ignoring all of the yellows, and I'm looking only for the piece on top that's not yellow at a time. So I line it up. Corners match the front. It's going in the red direction. Up, up, down, down. And again, I did not spend time looking to pair my edges up. They're just pairing themselves up, and so I don't have to worry about it. Corner piece on top that's not yellow. Oh, thank you for going away, lawnmower. Don't come back. All right. Corners match the front. It's going in the blue direction. And I do this for as long, and when the yellow comes back to the top again, then I assess and see whether I have to keep going or I can move on to the next step. Corners match the front. It's going in the blue direction. Up, up. And again, I just find a piece that's wrong, throw it in the right direction, and they pair themselves up, so I don't have to worry about pre-pairing up the edges. Corners match the front. It's going in the red direction. Up, up, down, down. Okay. Yeah, still a piece on top that's not yellow. Corners match the front. It's going in this direction. Up, up, down, down. Okay, yellow came back to the top, set the corners, check out do an inspection. These are correct, these are correct, these are correct, these are correct, and the top is correct as well. So this one has a parity and this one does not, which makes sense. So I'm going to treat this one separately. I'm not going to include this in today's solve. So parity. This piece wants to be here, this piece wants to be here. I've told you that formula B moves 3 pieces around, always and only 3 pieces around. So, wait, can you guys hear me? My audio is not going properly. Hello? My face camera is recording and not my... Okay. You, if you, let me know if you can't hear me okay, because I think my audio is screwed up. So the rest of all the other edge pieces are correct are correct, and these ones, this one wants to be here, this one wants to be here. So whenever you only see two pieces that want to be moved and not three pieces that want to be moved. The third piece that you do not see is literally the piece that you do not see. It is the slice that touches this parity, okay? Which it's this one, but it's also this one. It's on the same layer, okay? So there's two things I can do. I can either go color neutral and have red or orange be my top now, in which case I put the parity on the front and I slide that slice 1/4 turn. And in doing so, on this slice, 2 are correct and 2 are incorrect. If I make a quarter turn, 1 is correct and 3 are now incorrect. And with 3 being incorrect, I can just place those. You probably have an algorithm for that. I just use Formula B to place them. If I want to keep yellow on top, though, what I will do is I'll move my parity down. I'm going to place this one correctly, moving it forward, and this one's going to go into one of my sides. And where it lands, this is the slice that's a quarter turn off, so I make a quarter turn on that. And then I continue placing the not yellows to where they want to be. Up, up, down, down, over to here, up, up, down, down, corners to match the front. It's going in this direction, up, up, down, down, and again. There you go. Line up the corners. Cage is done. So corners, opposite edges, side edges, and the last step to do is the centers, which I will come back and do tomorrow. But real quick, when I'm going to preview, is you just pick a piece that's incorrect and you throw it in the direction you want it to go. So here's a green that's on the face that's not green. So I hold it so that the green is on top. I'm going to move this piece up to the top. First move is to make that advantageous. So these two I'm going to treat as one piece. These are one piece. So then you do Formula B, which is the two columns are dictated by the piece that you want to move. So I move it up, slide it into a different column. That becomes my second up. Reverse, down, reverse, down. Set the top and lather and repeat. Just do that for each piece that you have. And I'll come back and do that tomorrow. So thank you, School Bus. I appreciate you being here. And for everyone, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate you guys. I'm kind of pleased with myself at having come up with this. Bring me your non-cuber friends if you want to. We'll have fun. And in the meantime, go be nice to yourself. Go drink lots of water and walk in the sunshine and be happy. Do whatever you need to do to be happy because you deserve it. And I'll be back tomorrow. So if anyone wants to say bye, now is when I'm saying I'm leaving. So, all right, you guys, have a great day.